Saludos a todos y bienvenidos a Universo en Frecuencia Podcast, el podcast en el que hablamos acerca de las maravillas del universo. Y hoy nos acompaña, tenemos un invitado especial. Bueno, hoy sí que vamos a aprender acerca de lo último que hay en la astronomía, así que con nosotros está Bob Blum, el director de operaciones del Observatorio Vera Rubin, que es uno de esos proyectos que está revolucionando lo que conocemos acerca de nuestro entorno cósmico. Así que Bob tiene más de 20 años de experiencia en muchísimos observatorios y una trayectoria que incluye el Cerro Tololo en Chile. Así que él nos va a hablar, yo sé que un poquito acerca de cómo es la astronomía allá en Chile. Su trabajo se enfoca en esas grandes exploraciones del cielo, especialmente en el estudio de la Vía Láctea y nuestro entorno galáctico. Así que hoy estamos aquí, Nelson y yo, Lorna Salamán, y vamos a cambiar a inglés porque le vamos a dar esa bienvenida a Bob y comenzar esta tan interesante conversación. Así que, Nelson.
Gracias, Lorna, por esa introducción. Y como bien dice, tenemos a Bob. Y Bob habla un poquito de español. Él dice que quiere practicar un poquito, pero vamos a hacer el podcast en inglés. Si él quiere hablar luego español un poquito y practicarlo, bienvenido sea. Bob, welcome. Welcome. It's a real pleasure to have you with us today. Welcome to Universo en Frecuencia podcast. And thank you so much for taking your time to join us. So, what do you do at the Rubin Observatory? What is your role there?
Gracias, Nelson y Lorna. Primero que nada, me gusta mucho estar aquí con ustedes. Es un placer, es un privilegio. Estoy muy feliz tener la oportunidad de hablar con ustedes.
Gracias por estar con nosotros.
Por supuesto, es más probable que con la técnica mejor hablar en inglés.
Inglés, perfecto.
Claro.
Thank you. Very, very good to be here with you. My name is Bob Blum. As you said, I am the director of the Vera C. Rubin Observatory, an NSF, United States National Science Foundation and Department of Energy project that is located, the telescope is located in Chile, but we have things all over the world. And as the director, I'm basically responsible for trying to keep the team working, to keep all that whole system working and bring the data to our scientists every day, every night.
It's a very good job. I think so.
It's a real privilege.
Real interesting. Bob, how do you explain the mission of the observatory in simple terms?
The mission of the observatory is to carry out a 10-year survey of the southern night sky. So Rubin will observe the entire southern sky every few days, producing data that go very deep and cover the whole sky. So most telescopes look at a very, very small part of the sky. Vera Rubin is a large telescope, but it has a large field of view as well. So it sees the whole sky every few nights, and its large aperture, its large diameter mirror allows it to look very, very deep into the universe. And because we observe the whole sky repeatedly over and over again for 10 years, you can think of it as making a movie. And every time we hit the same part of the sky again, we'll take that image and subtract it from a template image of that same part of the sky, and we'll be able to detect any objects that have varied in brightness or moved across the sky. So you can think of it as a discovery engine, something that people will look to and connect with every night and be able to see what's changing in the night sky. And if there's something that's of interest to them, they can go off with another telescope within minutes if they want to and observe that object that Vera Rubin has detected at much more detail.
What is the difference that makes Rubin from other telescope? What is the difference? Sample from the Hubble, from the James Webb, from the other telescope that we have right now?
Right. So most other telescopes operate in a mode where scientists get together, they think of a great idea, and they go off and they propose to use that telescope, usually for a few hours, maybe a few days or nights, and maybe for a little bit longer. But Rubin is going to do its own survey and cover the sky over and over again and make all that data available to the public. So everyone can look at the data. Everyone in the United States and Chile can have access to the data, and there'll be a place to go online to look to access the data and study it with tools. We call it a science platform. So different than other telescopes, you don't have to write an observing proposal. You don't have to schedule your research plan over the year to get time, then go to the telescope, take the data, and come back and research it. You can tune in anytime you want and start exploring the data that Rubin is taking every night and making available to its community.
That is great for the public
that's amazing.
everyone.
Yeah, and I should say
Yes.
that the other aspect of this is I told you that we would look at every part of the sky over and over again, and we would find things that change in brightness or that move across the sky. We call those transients or variables. And we actually produce what we call an alert stream. So every night as we take data and we do this detection of things that have changed, we send those changes and those objects out on what we call an alert stream. It's like you were streaming a video. And these streams go out to something called brokers, which then community scientists can connect to and decide, I want to find objects that vary in this way or that way, maybe a supernova, maybe a variable star, maybe an asteroid. And then they can filter on the alert stream and go off and study those things in more detail. But that alert stream is public to anyone in the world. Anyone in the world can connect to those brokers and find these objects that are changing every night. And in fact, we're putting out the alert stream every few minutes. So we take an image in Chile and we send it over a really high speed and high bandwidth internet connection to California at one of our institutions, the SLAC National Accelerator Lab. And we do that processing really quick, and then we put out the alert stream. So within minutes, you can get a new set of objects that have changed on the night sky.
So that alert is going to be a real-time alert?
Real-time
Wow.
minutes, let's say.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yes, it is. And Bob, what are the main science goals that the LSST survey has?
Right. So the LSST, the Legacy Survey of Space and Time, is the survey that Vera Rubin is going to carry out for 10 years. And it was built around a science case that's still very active today, around 4 science pillars. We're going to study the Milky Way. We're going to study the halo of the Milky Way much deeper and farther out than has been done before. We'll understand the formation and evolution, hopefully better than we have before, of the Milky Way galaxy. We're going to study the solar system. We're going to get almost a factor of 10 more solar system objects that are known right now. In fact, last summer, when we first showed the world some of our first images, within those images, we showed them thousands of new asteroids that we had detected in just a few nights of data collecting. It was about the same amount that you would find in collecting data over a year with other telescopes currently. So we will understand the solar system and its formation and evolution better. Then we have this whole idea of the transient night sky, variables, things changing. We'll detect supernovae and variable stars. We call that the transient universe. And finally, we're going to study dark energy and dark matter. So we'd like to understand better the evolution and formation of the universe over cosmic time. So those are the 4 main goals of the survey, and thousands of astronomers are working on plans to develop their research programs to attack each of those areas. And then everything in between. Those were the main goals that we could design a system around and a survey around. But people are going to come up with ideas to search for things in the data that we haven't even thought of yet. And that's probably maybe one of the most exciting things about Rubin.
Can we say that's the best telescope or the most powerful telescope that we have on Earth? Can we say that?
I think astronomers always build telescopes that do something new and more powerful than has been done before. And Vera Rubin telescope, Vera Rubin Observatory is the same. It will take us in places that we've never been able to do before. Its ability to survey the whole sky so fast and so deep is absolutely unique and has never been done before. But we also have other telescopes that will be able to zoom in on the special objects that Vera Rubin is discovering, and we need those as well. So rather than say it is, the most powerful, and certainly in some ways it is, but we need a whole range of facilities to be able to do our science. And not only optical telescopes, of course, but radio telescopes and X-ray and gamma ray telescopes as well. We want to be able to put all that wavelength information together as well as we find these new objects.
When you say scan the skies every few nights, what do you mean with that? Why is that important to scan the skies every few nights?
So you can imagine a big telescope with a small field of view. It takes a very long time to cover any area of sky. And if you're trying to get a view of the entire night sky, both in area and in depth, you need a big telescope and you need a wide field of view. And so when I say scan the sky every minute, we will relentlessly take images over and over again. This is another way that Vera Rubin is different. Other telescopes will have different instruments, different programs that go on sky at night. They might do one with one instrument for a little while, then another instrument for another period of time, and kind of mix it all up. Vera Rubin Observatory has one instrument, the largest digital camera ever built, and it has a huge field of view. If you put the field of view of the camera on the sky, it would fill up more than 40 full moons. So imagine how big the moon looks on the sky. And we get 40 of those in one image. Now, we do that every night. We just step from one place to another every 30 or 40 seconds, looking at a different part of the sky, and we just keep going. And then the next night, we do the same thing. And we do that over and over for 10 years. So we're just scanning the whole sky. We'll have a huge data set that we can look through. And when you have that much data and you've covered the whole sky in a range of wavelengths, over 10 years, you're going to find very rare things that you wouldn't normally have been able to find because you're simply not looking enough or deep enough or over a wide enough area. So this is the power of Vera Rubin. It will see everything. In fact, you may have heard of the Comet 3
yes.
Atlas, right?
Yes.
Well, it turns out that Vera Rubin, while we were commissioning it last summer, saw it, but we didn't know it existed yet because no one had announced this discovery, and we were not in the process yet of looking at our images every night. We were doing technical things, but when it was discovered, we just asked ourselves, I wonder if Vera saw it, and of course it did, because we cover so much sky so rapidly every night, and there it was in our data. In fact, it was some of the earliest data available on that object, because we had been scanning the sky, and it was smaller telescopes had to wait for it to get closer and brighter before they could discover it. So we like to say that Vera Rubin Observatory sees everything all the time.
Well, there are no words. It's a literally a wow moment. Everything that you have talked about, but I know that many times there is something that you want to discover, something that you know that observatory, a telescope, it's able to do. So what discoveries are you like most excited about, things that you hope to see or to study?
So I'm interested in everything.
we know.
So I'm just looking forward to seeing the full range of things that our team and our community of scientists will discover. Some of the most rare things, we just talked about 3-eye atlas, and so interstellar objects, we should discover a few tens of them over the survey. These are extremely rare things, so that will allow us to understand maybe this class of objects instead of just having one unique or two unique, 3 unique things that pass through the system. That will be really exciting. I'm interested in what we call resolved stellar populations, so the nearby universe, and resolving stars in small satellite galaxies. This is something that Vera Rubin should discover many dwarf and ultra faint dwarfs around the Milky Way, which will help us understand the formation of the Milky Way, and actually by extension, how the universe is creating large scale structures. But probably the most interesting thing are the things we don't know about. So I like to think of this, I didn't make this up, other smart people did. You can draw, if you think of the transient objects I was talking about, you can think of how bright they are on one axis, and you can think about the time scale that they take to make a variation in brightness on the other axis. And just because of the kinds of telescopes we have and how big a field of view they have and how large they are and how faint an object they can observe, we've only covered part of that parameter space, part of that diagram, right? Really bright things are easier to see, and things that vary over a longish time are easier to detect. Vera Rubin, because it's observing the sky and different points on the sky over and over, and sometimes, within the same night and within a few hours, we're going to go in parts of that space where there's faint things and things that vary very rapidly. And so we think there's unknowns out there that we should be able to detect. And that's, I think, what I'm most excited about, is the potential for Vera to find something that we haven't seen before.
You mentioned something, the LSST camera.
Mm-hmm.
I took pictures of the universe with my telescope and my camera, so I can relate to that. What is special about this camera?
We couldn't do the survey we're talking about without the world's greatest camera, and this is the biggest field of view and the most pixels in any camera. Some people call that resolution that anyone's ever built, and so it has this gigantic field of view, and it has 3,200 megapixels, so 3.2 billion pixels. And it has to read all those out very quickly so that we can keep up with this cadence of hitting each new image every 30, 35 or 40 seconds. So without that ability to take that much data that quickly, we wouldn't be able to do the survey in the time that we're going to do it in the 10 years. We'll take more data. In the first year, we should have observed more objects in the universe than have ever been observed by all the telescopes up to this point. That's how powerful this camera is. It allows us to observe the whole sky every few nights and to a very deep level. And so we'll very quickly observe more things than humanity has observed up to this point. It's a tremendous amount of data. It's just an explosion of possibilities that's before us.
Well, so our understanding of the universe is before and after this observatory. Wow, that's really incredible. But there are always challenges. So what is the main challenge of operating the observatory in Chile?
Our challenges are like most observatories' challenges. It's making your system reliable so that you don't waste any time. Time on when the shutter is open at night, when the dome is open, looking at the night sky. That's precious time, and it's time that you never get back if you lose it. So keeping on sky regularly, as efficiently as possible, having the system stay up and working is the same challenge that most telescopes have. Specifically in Chile is a fantastic place to work. It's high and dry, so the image quality is fantastic. The people of Chile are tremendous. We've been working in Chile as an overall organization for more than 60 years. And there, as a host country, that community is tremendous. Their scientific community has grown tremendously in the last 20 years. And we collaborate with them now scientifically as well. We don't just go there to use the night skies there, but we collaborate with our scientists in Chile. And most of our staff there are Chilean. There are certainly expatriates down there working for the observatory, but the majority of our staff are Chilean. very, very good, extremely competent and smart folks. So they help us keep the telescope on sky every night. Right now in this phase, we haven't quite started the survey yet. So our big challenge right now is getting the facility to work at the design performance reliably every night. So we know already that it takes the kinds of images we need to do the survey. It's doing very well, but we just got to ensure that it can do that every single night at the speed that we need to do it. Remember, we can't stop. We just got to get going and keep going and taking a certain amount of data every night if we're going to make it in 10 years. So I hope we start soon. I'm sure we will, but we're not quite there yet to start the LSST.
Okay. Bob, do you agree with me that Chile has one of the best skies in the world? Do you agree?
Absolutely. There's no question. It's just an objective fact. There are other really good places in the world for astronomy, but not many. And Chile is one of the very few that has tremendous skies.
That's very good for you to do your work.
Yeah, we are incredibly privileged to be able to work down there for sure.
How does Rubin handle all the huge amount of data that you collected every night? How do you do it?
This is a great question. So we talked about ways that Rubin's different. In some ways, Rubin is different in the sense that a lot of observatories think of the telescope and the place on the mountain as the observatory. For Rubin, the observatory is a distributed system across the whole world. And part of that distributed system is the data processing that we have set up over many years. So it's centered at our operations partner, SLAC, the SLAC National Accelerator Lab in California. And we have two major international partners in the UK and France. And between those three data centers, we will process the data for annual data releases that we take a few petabytes, about 5 petabytes of raw data per year. And then we do this rapid processing so we can generate this alert stream every night. That's also done in California. So it takes a very high bandwidth network connection, which we've established with partners throughout Latin America, and led by a group called AmLight at Florida International University, but connecting to the research and education networks throughout Latin America. So a tremendous collaboration there. They get the data from Cerro Pachón, which is our site in northern Chile, through Argentina, Brazil, and then launched on an undersea cable in the Atlantic to Florida, and then across the country with the Department of Energy network to California. So we do all that. The shutter closes, and within 10 or 20 seconds, most images have gotten to California, where they can be processed and archived. So it is a major undertaking. And then the access to all that data, we expect to have about 10,000 science users regularly coming to access the data from places throughout the world. And they need a place to get that data quickly, in a place that we can manage well and have all that user access coming in at different times. And we're doing that on the Google Cloud. We have the processing of the data at our data centers, and then the access of the data is through the cloud. And so each user can come and have some space and computing resources provided in that way, so they can connect basically from anywhere and do their science from anywhere whenever they want to.
Well, I have a question about there is so much data to be processed, and is there something that is like related to artificial intelligence and especially machine learning and all that's going on with the Rubin's Observatory?
Absolutely. And so we've been starting to develop science cases and use cases and the infrastructure to enable machine learning and artificial intelligence research with the data. The reason that it's so appropriate for Rubin is the Rubin data set is very uniform. I said we do one thing, we just take images over and over again. So we take the same kind of images with a finite number of filters that span the optical, visual wavelength range. And that's all we do. And they're very well documented and calibrated. So it's the perfect data set for machine learning. So we can imagine large chunks of that data set being carved up, for example, in image postage stamps of different kinds of galaxies or different objects, different transients, different variable stars, and passing those to machine learning algorithms, and then being used for research. And so we are gearing up to do a lot of that right now. The Department of Energy has just announced a new initiative called the Genesis mission, where they want to harness the computing power of the Department of Energy labs in the United States for research with AI and machine learning. And they've actually noted specifically that Rubin Observatory and its legacy survey of space and time is one of the kinds of data sets that would be ideal for this. So we're really excited about it. We have a lot of work to do. By no means are we ready to go today, but we're moving very quickly in that direction.
I have a question. How can the public or students can access the Rubin's data, or how they can get involved with all this that is going on with the observatory?
That's a great question. And we have a number of ways that the public will be involved. We have a tremendous education and outreach team, both centered on the Rubin data and then to the wider astronomy community through our operations partner, Noir Lab. We Rubin Observatory are part of the National Optical Infrared Laboratory in the United States. We have a citizen science program. So because this data is all there, very well managed at our data center, we have developed a pipeline, if you will, that will allow scientists in the community to come in and design through a template process any citizen science project that they want. And then we have connected that process to the Universo, which is the well-known astronomical and now general science citizen science project in the UK. And so those projects can get launched. We have already actually launched at least two citizen science projects earlier this year with some of our early data. One of them was called Comet Hunters, and it was based on looking for comets in the early Rubin data. And that's been a tremendous success already. Millions and millions of classifications have been done. And then we had a second one that is connected to citizen science projects. So citizens looking at the data, helping us classify objects, that is connected to this transient alert stream. So you can imagine if you're subtracting two images, one from the other, the subtraction isn't always perfect. And things can get, there can be artifacts left in the difference image. And we want to understand typically what those artifacts are, so we know it's not a real transient, for example, and we can throw that out of the stream. And so we're having a citizen science program and citizens looking at the data and telling us which are real transients in these difference images and which are just artifacts of a poor subtraction. And that one is almost completed now, and we're going to use that to put back into our machine learning algorithms, that knowledge of what's real and what's not, into our machine learning algorithms and improve this capability of determining transients in the difference images every night when we run the data. So that's a big one. Some amateurs will actually go and use the alert stream themselves and try and find variable stars and other things that they want to follow up. So that's another thing that the entire public can get. We have a very well constructed set of classroom trainings that will work on the Rubin data. So real data will go into high school and early college classrooms, and it's all online. It's all developed through a web interface. And we're currently training teachers how to use it. And we've been doing, thousands of trainings over the last few years so that teachers can understand what these different science programs are and how to implement them in their classrooms. So there's a great deal of engagement with the general community and the general public, and that's a worldwide public. All these things I'm talking about are available to anyone on the web throughout the world.
How about the astronomers? How will the Rubin change the way astronomers do their research compared to the past?
So one of them is, again, that they can connect at any time from anywhere, and they don't need to put in a proposal. Typically, observatories will require that you put in a proposal, and since they don't have the ability to have proposals all the time, there's usually a couple times during the year when you put in a proposal, see if you got time. If you got time, then the next year you'll take the date. If you didn't get time, then you have to improve your proposal and come back, next year. There are a few places where you can get kind of a quick turnaround, but it's not generally the rule. But for Rubin, the data will be there. As soon as we start taking it and putting it on the archive, it's available to scientists within a few days, and they can access it and start doing science right away. So they can do science with the data products that we deliver right away, and anyone can do that. The big thing here is you don't have to be in a big institution. You don't have to have your own telescope time. You can get started right away. We have tremendous numbers of tutorials and online documentation, and we have live interactive so-called science assemblies that our community science team runs all the time. And so people can dial in and they can do things in real time and learn about how the analysis tools and things work. But the point is that you can be anywhere with a good idea and start searching through the data and doing science right away. You don't have to have all this other proposal and infrastructure provided for you as we have in the past.
Lorna, quiero decir algo en español y Bob nos va a entender porque él entiende un poquito en español. Antes de que pasemos a la última pregunta, porque tenemos que dejar a Bob que vaya a trabajar y hacer su research y todo lo que está haciendo en el día. Pero esta data va a estar disponible, está disponible para todo el mundo, estudiantes, el público, astrónomos aficionados como nosotros. Todo el que quiera trabajar con esta data la va a tener accesible. Eso, cuando hablamos de esa unión, se llega a más, porque muchas de los descubrimientos y muchas de las cosas que pasan en el universo, no me atrevo a decir 1% exactamente, pero muchas de las cosas que pasan se dan cuenta por astrónomos aficionados o astrofotógrafos aficionados que están captando el universo y de repente ven algún evento, una supernova, una nova o un impacto en un planeta o un impacto, o sea, todo esto nos une para recolectar esa data y poder entonces hacer el research que hace falta. Obviamente ellos tienen a sus profesionales también allá que van a evaluar esa data y van a evaluar lo que nosotros también le hagamos llegar. Así que eso es bien interesante porque esto no es un proyecto privado básicamente, si lo vamos a poner así, es un proyecto básicamente público, Lorna, podemos decir que es público. La gente puede disfrutar de él, y también hacer trabajo sobre ello. Así que esto para los estudiantes de las universidades debe ser bien interesante, Lorna. Adelante con la última preguntita ahí para Bob.
Bueno, my last question is, 10 years from now, what legacy do you hope that the Rubin Observatory will leave for astronomy and also for humanity?
I hope the legacy is that we can do science together and bring lots and lots of different people from different experiences and different backgrounds, different life experiences together, and provide opportunities for everybody to work on science, and that we can share that science broadly with the world and include everybody. So that everyone can share in the discoveries that are, that's the legacy of humankind, is to share in these discoveries and understand what our universe is all about.
Bob, definitely thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today on Universo en Frecuencia. It's been a pleasure hearing your insights about the Rubin Observatory and the incredible work that your team is doing. We truly appreciate your time. And we look forward to seeing you and the amazing discoveries ahead. And thank you again. We hope to have you with us in the future. But before you go, you have to say something in Spanish so for other people in Puerto Rico and the Caribbean and Latin America. Bob, go ahead.
Muy bien, gracias para darme la oportunidad de hablar con ustedes hoy día. Me encantó hablar en español con mis amigos, mis colegas en Chile, en todas partes del Latinoamérica. Es un honor tener la oportunidad de vivir parte de mi vida con ustedes afuera de los Estados Unidos. Es algo muy especial. Yo siento como Chile es mi hogar. Nunca va a olvidar mi experiencia en Chile. Es una gran parte de mi vida.
Do you work from Chile or from the United States right now?
Vivo en Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
Pero hago viajes muy frecuentes a Chile. Me voy en enero de nuevo.
Perfecto. Pues Lorna, interesantísimo. No todo el tiempo uno tiene la oportunidad de hablar con una persona tan importante dentro de un proyecto tan importante. ¿Cómo tú te sientes, Lorna?
Yo todavía estoy tratando de procesar. Este episodio significa mucho. Este es un episodio histórico para Universo en Frecuencia. Así que hoy hablamos definitivamente de un instrumento que está cambiando lo que nosotros conocemos acerca del universo. Así que por eso comenté ahorita, esto es como que antes del Rubin y después. Y es increíble que durante el proceso todos, que lo hemos comentado antes, podemos ser ciudadanos científicos y contribuir a esto que sabemos que el universo no es estático. Y por eso mismo queremos que, miren, este episodio, ustedes lo compartan, ustedes comenten, por supuesto, denle like y sea parte de esta conversación y que más personas, más estudiantes se beneficien de esta área de estudio que definitivamente es fascinante y que cada día se convierte más accesible y súper importante que conozcamos acerca de la astronomía y nos dé oportunidad de compartirla con todo el público. Así que, como siempre, gracias por habernos escuchado, por compartir el episodio, por ser parte de esta conversación y siempre conectarse con nosotros, con la ciencia, con el espacio y más allá. Así que recuerden siempre que el universo es una energía en distintas frecuencias y nos vemos, estamos en pausa, pero nos vemos en el próximo episodio de Universo en Frecuencia.
Gracias, Bob.
Ok, gracias.